Hello, aspirants. Let us continue learning our ancient Indian history. Today, we are going to begin with the topic megalithic age. So, what do you mean by the term megalithic? So, if you decode this terminology, mega means what? Something which is big. Lithic refers to stone. So, we are referring to big stone structures. As you can see from the image, there are big stones erected vertically, horizontally, and a big structure is being constructed with the help of these stones. So that is the peculiarity of this age, referred to as the megalithic age. So in this period, different structures, the big structures with the stones were constructed. Now, what was the purpose? Why the stone structures were created? Let us decode it in today's session. So let us begin with the topic megalithic age. Okay. So megalithic age refers to the period where the megalithic culture of India flourished, and the time period is 1000 BCE and it continued to up to 1000 CE. Okay, so formally now, slowly and gradually, you can see the timeline. We are entering into CE. Okay, with respect to the megalithic age I'm talking about. So it flourished from 1000 BCE to up to 1000 CE. And this period is characterized by a peculiar characteristic feature, and that is these structures which are referred to as megaliths. Now, what are these megaliths? Megaliths are nothing but the large stone structures which served as a markers for the graves, for the burials. So these are the practices which are associated as a commemoration or as a marker, as an indicator for the burial or the indicator for the grave. Okay, so officially, what is the definition, or formally, what is the definition of the megalithic period? So megalithic cultures of India were the cultures which flourished between 1000 BCE and 1000 CE, and they are characterized by distinct burial practices involving large stone structures referred to as megaliths, and these megaliths served as a markers for the graves. Okay, so for example, a person from the family, he died, so he was buried, and in order to commemorate that, oh, he is buried at this place, or for example, you know that in Indian tradition, we on certain anniversaries, like for example, there's a death anniversary, 1 year, 2 year, we perform certain rituals. Okay, so probably they wanted to perform certain rituals, so they erected such structures so that they could go to that grave and they could perform certain rituals. Okay, so that was, or that might have been the aspect or the reason for erecting this megalithic structures. Okay, now, when you talk about the megalithic age, majority of these structures or majority of these cultures flourished in South India. Okay, in North India, there is only one example of megalithic, that is in Burzahom. Burzahom, it's a site in the state of today it's a union territory, that is Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, Burzahom, we have already studied about it in the Neolithic age. It was known for pit dwelling, and there was a peculiar grave where a master and a dog were buried together. Okay, so that Burzahom is also known for megalithic. So in North India, we have only one example of a megalithic age or the megalithic culture, and that is Burzahom. Okay, so please remember, if you talk about North India, there is only one example of of megalithic culture, that is Burzahom, presently in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, and when I talk about the remaining sites, they are located entirely in the southern states. Okay, and hence we call that megalithic cultures were the peculiar characteristic features of South India. So, in which regions do we find these practices? We find these practices in the southern states of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and even to some extent in Maharashtra. Okay, so what are the famous sites? If you look at Karnataka, we have famous sites: Brahmagiri, Maski, T. Narsimhapur, Halur and Hire Benikal. Okay, so please remember all these sites in Karnataka. These days, UPSC is asking the sites, okay, in the preliminary examination in the form of match the column or which of the following pairs are correctly matched. Okay, so the sites in Karnataka with respect to the megalithic age are Brahmagiri, Maski, T. Narsipur, Halur, and Hire Benikal. Coming to Tamil Nadu, we have an important site, Adichanallaru. Okay, and in Andhra Pradesh, we have yet another important site, Nagarjuna Konda. Okay, so these are the peculiar or the important sites associated with the megalithic cultures in these southern states. Okay, Now let us try to understand the megalithic burials in details. Okay. Now you can get a preliminary question on this. Second important thing in the mains examination, since it is a part of Indian heritage and culture, you can expect a 10 marker question on the types of megalithic burials in GS paper 1. Okay. So we'll focus on what were the different types of megalithic burials in India. So the very first structure is referred to as the structure of dolmen. Okay. So what do you mean by dolmen? In dolmen, across the grave, so you have buried a person, okay, the grave is there, or you have burned that person, okay, so his ashes are there, and across that you are constructing a structure. And in this structure you are erecting the big vertical stone slabs. You can see over here the vertical stone slabs are there, and on the top of that vertical slabs you are putting a horizontal slab. Okay. And most importantly, here you are not using any cement, or you are not using any mortar, any binding material. Just with the help of stones, you are supporting this structure. So you are erecting the big vertical stones, and with the support of that vertical stones, just on the top of that, you are laying a horizontal stone. You are not using any cement, any mortar, any binding material. Nothing is being used over here. Okay. So the first structure is a simple structure, dolmen. What is the feature of this dolmen? There are vertical stones which are supported by each other, and on the top of that, there is a horizontal stone slab. The second practice is the practice of Karen circles. Okay. So, what is a Karen circle? So, can you see over here? For example, here there is a grave. Okay. And across that grave, they are putting these stones in a circular form fashion. Okay. So, Karens are nothing but these are the piles of these stones which are arranged in a circular formulation across or around the burial site, marking the location of the grave. Okay, I hope it is pretty clear. So, what do you mean by Karen circle? A grave is there. Across the grave, you are aligning the stones in a circular fashion, and you are constructing a circle. Next is menhir. Menhir means what? You are erecting tall, upright stones, and these are monoliths. Monoliths in the sense one grave is there. Across that grave, you are erecting one single big stone which is upright, that is it is vertical, it is monolith made up of one entire stone, and it is erected solitary, that is a single stone is a marker of the grave. Here what you are creating with, you are creating a structure. Multiple stones are erected vertically, and then there is a stone slab. So here you are creating a structure, but in menhir you are not creating a structure. You are erecting an individual vertical stone across a grave. So that is called as a menhir. So please try to understand the difference between menhir and dolmen. Okay, dolmen, you are creating an entire structure. Menhir is a single vertical monolithic stone which is erected as a grave marker. Then the next is cyst burial. Okay. Now, what do you mean by cyst burial? Cyst is basically a small box like stone chamber. Okay. So, you are creating a small box like stone chamber, and in that chamber, you are burying, or you are putting the remains of humans. Okay. And the burial goods are also kept over here. These are typically underground, and then there is a capstone, a coverage over here. Okay. So, cyst burial, it is like you are creating a chamber. In that chamber, either you're putting the ashes or you're putting the remains, bones of that person. And along with that, if you believe in the like some of these megalithic communities, they believed in the concept of life after death. So even the burial goods, the jewelry, the pottery, even that was accompanied in that cyst. Okay. So cysts are a small, and again they are made up of stone only. So these are small box like stone chambers constructed to house or to contain human remains and the burial goods, and these are typically underground, covered with the capstones. Okay. Let's come to the fifth one. In the fifth one, what you are doing, you are, this is called as a urn burial, or it is also called as a pot burial. Okay. Urn burials or pot burials. So what you are doing over here, you are placing the human remains, the ashes or the bones or whatever remains are there, you are putting it into a big ceramic pot or an urn, and that pot is buried underground. Getting it? So here, what is in the cyst? What is the difference? The chamber is there. In the chamber itself, you are burying everything. But in urn burial or the pot burial, what you're doing, you're putting the remains in a pot, and then that pot is buried. Okay. So in this type, the human remains are placed in a large ceramic urns, which are then buried in the ground. Okay, so that is called as the urn burial or the pot burial. And finally, you have stone circles without any burials. Okay, so it is being said that at certain sites we do not have any human evidences. There are no human remains, but just symbolically, you are just putting the stones. Sometimes it may happen that many soldiers, warriors, they used to die in the battle. Okay, and sometimes their bodies were not recovered because it used to happen they were killed in the enemy territories and the enemies took their bodies, burned them. Okay, so just as a symbolic gesture that we are performing their rituals and we are worshipping them, this type of burial was constructed. Okay, so where there are no human remains are not there, but just to commemorate, to pray, or to make it as a sign of a grave marker, they had put the stones. Okay, so stones are put in the circular arrangement like the Karen circle, but the difference over here is that there is no burial only. I hope all the six types of megaliths burials are pretty clear. The first is a dolmen. What is a dolmen? In dolmen, you are constructing a structure, okay, with the help of stones only, without using any cement, without using any mortar. Okay, just you are erecting the vertical pillars and the horizontal one. Second is the Karen circle. In the center, there is a grave. Across the grave, there are the stones which are aligned in a circular fashion. Menhir is a single upright monolithic stone which marks as the marker of the grave. Sister burial, in the cis burial, it's a small box-like stone chamber in which the burials and the grave goods are kept. On burial, or also referred to as the pot burial, here the remains are put in the pot and the pot is then buried down. Okay. And stone circles without burial, there is no burial, only just a symbolic gesture of stones are erected. Okay. So, megalith, these burials, they reflect the belief, the social practices, the cultural traditions of the people of the Iron Age in India. Now, why we are referring to your Iron Age? Okay. Now, 1000 BCE marks the discovery of iron in Indian subcontinent. Okay, and with the discovery of the iron was broadly used. Okay, so please remember, around 1000 BCE, iron was discovered. And if you look at the timeline of the megalithic cultures, okay, so we have seen the timeline, it is 1000 BCE to 1000 CE. So it means that megalithic cultures coincided with the Iron Age, and hence these cultures are referred to as Iron Age cultures. Okay, so please remember, if there is a preliminary question, megalithic age coincided with which age? So please remember, it coincided with the Iron Age, and rather the people of the megalithic culture widely used iron, okay, for making tools and all. So let us proceed ahead now. I hope the types of megalithic burials are pretty clear. Now we are going to understand the characteristic features of the megalithic communities. Okay, characteristic features in the sense their livelihood patterns, their settlement pattern, their economy, all that we are going to discuss now. Fine. So, when I talk about the settlement pattern, so can you see from the image, there's a beautiful nature being depicted. There are forests, there are trees, there is a beautiful river you can see over here. And then the houses are there. The houses are rectangular, they are circular, made up of wattle, daub, okay? And then near the settlement itself, you can see there is a burial site. So, what we can say that the villages or the megalithic settlements were very close in proximity to their megalithic burial site. Okay, so let us try to understand the settlement pattern. So, first of all, the houses, the settlements were permanent. They were staying there for generation to generation, and it was a small hamlet, a small community living in a small place. All right, so archaeological evidences indicate that megalithic people, they lived in small permanent villages, and oftenly these villages were located near river, or they were located near the fertile land. Why? So that they could use that water for performing, for practicing agriculture. Okay, so usually these settlements were located near the river, okay, and fertile lands, so that they could do the agriculture. For example, the settlements in the are profoundly seen in the Krishna Tungabhadra Doab. Okay. What do you refer to Doab? What do you mean by Doab? Doab is a land between two rivers. So we are referring to the fertile land between the Krishna River and the Tungabhadra River. There you find many of these megalithic settlements, okay, in the state of Karnataka. In Karnataka, there are so many sites, Hirebenikal, Brahmagiri, Maski, okay, all these Halur, okay, all T. Narsipur, all these sites are in these fertile regions itself, okay. And the houses you can see that the houses are small, some are circular, some are rectangular, and this depicts a small, knit, organized village community. Fine. So that is the first peculiarity. The second peculiarity which we see over here is that proximity to the megalithic burial sites. Okay, so in many cases these megalithic burial sites are located very near to the megalithic village settlement. Fine. Usually these are located on an elevated platform. Okay, so for example, if there is a little bit hilly area or a plateau area, so there these burial sites were located, and the megalithic settlements were usually located at a fertile area, plain area. All right. And this was very near to the settlement. That indicates that megalithic burials were a very important part of their religious, of their socio-religious life. Okay, and this had a great significance in their livelihood. Probably every day they might be worshipping their ancestors. They might be going to that grave and they might be offering flowers and worshipping their ancestors. That could be there. As a result, they were very close to their settlements. Okay, then structural organization, as we have already seen that houses in the megalithic settlements were typically circular or rectangular, constructed from the material like mud was there, timber was there, stone was there, and the structures were simple. Okay, and this suggests that the society was mainly focusing on agriculture and the basic subsistence pattern. Okay, so this is all about the settlement pattern. I hope it is pretty clear. Settlements were mainly near the river valley, fertile areas, so that they could practice agriculture. Next important thing, near the settlements itself, the megalithic burials were situated, indicating their significance in their social religious life. Okay, houses were small, rectangular or circular, built from the natural material that is available locally. All right, and they lived in a close knitted community, so it marks a well accommodative social community. Okay, so the significance of all this, whatever we have understood right now, is that the settlement pattern reveals what? It reveals a very well organized, sustainable way of life, that integrated way of life with the ritualism, okay, and worship of the ancestral tradition. Fine. So this is all about the settlement. Let us now understand about their livelihood aspects. Okay, so when we talk about the livelihood aspects, so we are going to understand what did they do for their subsistence for their livelihood. Okay, so the primary occupation, as we can easily say, what was the primary occupation? Agriculture. Why? Because they gave so much importance to agriculture that they ensured that their houses are located near the river valleys, near the fertile land. Why? So that they could practice agriculture on a primary basis, on the day-to-day basis. Okay, so the primary subsistence, the primary livelihood aspect for the megalithic communities was agriculture, and this is evident from the remains. Okay, so archaeologists have discovered remains of crops like rice, millet. Today millets are being promoted by the government of India. They are referred to as Shri Anna, and millets were grown in Indian subcontinent from thousands of years. Millets are like, for example, bajra, jawar, ragi. Okay, so they were widely grown in the Deccan Plateau region. Okay, and these are considered to be very rich in nutrients, vitamins, minerals. Okay, and they are promoted to be eaten. So millets were grown over here. Then barley and wheat. Okay, mainly when we talk about South India, the two food crops which were very significant were rice and millet. So, and archaeologists have discovered the evidences of rice and millet from the megalithic sites of Halur and Payampalli. Okay, hence we can conclude that agriculture was the basic subsistence of the megalithic cultures. Fine. Now, if agriculture is there, then definitely animal husbandry will be accompanied. Fine. So, megalithic communities, they relied on domesticated animals like cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, and poultry. Okay. So, animal husbandry supplemented agriculture. It was a secondary occupation. The primary was agriculture. But animal husbandry supplemented, supported agriculture. How? Because animals used to provide them with the meat, with the milk, with the hides, okay? And how can we confirm that they were using all these products or they were practicing animal husbandry? From the remains, okay? So across these megalithic sites we have discovered the remains of these animals, okay, the bone remains of these animals. And also on the pottery, on the pots they made, they did the painting. Can you see over here? There's a depiction of animal on the pottery and the artifacts. So that also suggests that these people revered animals, and animal husbandry was the subsidiary occupation to agriculture. Okay. Then we have understood that megalithic cultures coincided with the Iron Age in India. So definitely during this period, iron was used extensively. Like we understood that in the Chalcolithic culture, what was used? Copper was used. But in the megalithic culture, since iron was discovered, iron tools were used on a big scale. Okay. So widespread use of iron tools during the megalithic culture marks a significant technological advancement. So slowly and gradually from copper, so Chalcolithic cultures use copper, then Harappan civilization use bronze. And after Harappan civilization, actually these megalithic cultures come, but we cover it here itself. And megalithic cultures, they were known for usage of iron. Okay, so this reflects what? This reflects significant advancement in science and technology. Okay. So, what all tools were used and discovered from these sites? So, iron plow has been discovered. Iron plow played a very important role for plowing of the field. Now, we all know that iron is a very hard metal, and because of that, the plow was able to go deep into the soil. What is plowing? Plowing means what? You are mixing the layers of the soil so that you are facilitating better aeration of the soil, and that will enhance the productivity of your agriculture, of your food crops. Okay. So iron plow, since it was very hard, it was able to go deep into the soil. So because of which the better aeration of the soil happened, and this helped in increasing the productivity as well. Okay. Then iron hoe was there. Iron hoe was used for weeding and for soil preparation. Then iron sickle. Iron sickle, we know that for harvesting of the crops. Okay. Then iron axe. Iron axe was used for cutting of the wood, for clearing of the land, and iron chisel. Okay, for chisel is basically used for making any carpentry work. Okay, chiseling, you are finishing it. Okay, so for woodwork, for construction purpose, this chisel was widely used. Okay, so all these evidences indeed suggest that megalithic culture or the people of this culture used iron on a very extensive scale, and hence megalithic culture is referred to as the iron age culture of India. Okay, I hope it is pretty clear. So all these equipments, iron plow, hoe, sickle, allowed for efficient farming. Iron axes and chisels facilitated land clearance and woodwork, and this improved the economy, enabled larger and sustainable, stable populations, and supported permanent settlements. Okay, why? Because see, if the population is increasing, then your food outcome, your food grain should also match, the demand should match the supply, right? And for that, the technological advancement is very important. This technological advancement facilitated that growth and productivity of the food grains, and that was able to sustain the increasing population of the megalithic communities. Okay, so a combination of agriculture, animal husbandry, and the use of iron tools made the backbone of megalithic economy, supporting a settled life and a very well equipped community development. Okay, I hope it is pretty clear. Let us move ahead. Yes. Now we are going to understand what are the other economic activities that were performed by the megalithic communities. Okay, so beyond agriculture, beyond animal husbandry, megalithic people had diverse economic activities. Okay, that supported their daily life, their craft tradition, their technological advancement. Okay, so what are these? So first is their craft tradition and their pottery. Okay, so pottery production was one of the essential craft tradition of this megalithic communities or the megalithic societies. Okay, from the megalithic sites, archaeologists have discovered the remains of a pottery typically black and red ware. Okay, so black and red ware, you can see the potteries, the base is red color, made from terracotta, made from mud, and on that red you are doing the decoration with the black color. Okay, so megalithic pottery, oftenly it is black and red ware, and these pots were very much significant. Why? Because they were useful for the cooking purpose, for the storage purpose, and most importantly for the ritual also. Why ritual? If you guys remember the urn burial or the pot burial, in that pot burial the remains were stored and then that pot was buried underground. Okay, so pottery was very much important. It facilitated cooking, it facilitated storage of the food grains, and most importantly it also facilitated the ritualistic aspects. Okay, so pottery remains are discovered from the sites like Adichanalluru, from Musky, which suggests that megalithic people produced their pottery locally. Okay, so black and red ware is the characteristic pottery of the megalithic age. Okay, the next important occupation is mining and metal working. Now, just now we have discovered that iron was discovered. So, mining iron from the iron ores. Now, Karnataka is known for a lot of iron ores. Okay, so from there probably they might have mined the iron and then they might have smelted the iron. So that shows what? That shows advancement in the technology in the field of metallurgy. What is metallurgy? Science of metals. Okay, so megalithic cultures, they were excellent ironsmiths. They were skilled in iron metallurgy, and this is absolutely evident from the remains of the iron tools. Okay, so iron extraction and smelting likely took place in the iron rich areas. Even in the Vidarbha area of Maharashtra, Deccan Plateau, you find many iron ores. Okay, so iron ore collect, so from the iron ore they collected the iron, they got the iron and they smelted the iron in the furnaces to extract the iron, because in the ore there are so many other metals also, so you need to remove those impurities and then you have to take the pure iron. And then iron bloom was obtained after smelting, and from that they were able to make their tools and weapons. Okay, so these activities, that is production, mining, pottery, metalworking, reflect that they were using the resources in a very accomplished manner. Okay, and slowly and gradually these people, they were adapting to their environment, and they were leading and they were building a sustainable economy. Okay, I hope it is pretty clear. Okay, the next is the social and the religious life of the megalithic people. Okay, social and the religious life in the megalithic cultures. So we have already understood that in the religious life, these burials played a very important role, and somewhat it was connected even with their social aspects as well. Okay, so megalithic burials, with their elaborate stone constructions and the grave goods, they indicate a very complex socio-religious beliefs. Okay, so presence of burial goods, including pottery. Even at some sites, we even find that weapons were also buried, tools were buried, ornaments, jewelry was buried. So this suggests that the people of the megalithic age, they believed in the concept of life after death, or they maintained rituals connected to honoring the ancestors. Okay, also we see that there are differences in the graves all as well. Graves as well, in the sense we find that in certain graves there are very rich burial goods, like there are precious metals which are being stored, so probably it is a grave of a rich person. In certain graves there are weapons. It shows that probably the person was associated with a warrior community. Okay, he was from a warrior family. And in certain graves there are absolutely hardly, or there are or no goods. Okay, so it shows that probably they were from the lower strata. So this different practices also suggests the social segregation, or rather we could say that the social stratification. So differences in the size of the burial, the quantity of the goods, or the pattern of the burial also hints towards the some sort of stratification in the megalithic community. Okay, so elaborate burials with a very rich grave goods suggest that a person belonged to a very elite community, elite society, or elite family. Moderate burials with the fewer goods refer to a middle class person, and a simple burial with the minimal goods refer to the lowest strata of the society. Okay, and as I've mentioned that since the burials were equipped with these goods, it hints towards the belief in the concept of life after death. Okay, and as I've mentioned that a variety of objects. So, what objects were there? Pottery, weapons, pottery with the food grains, it was there. Weapons were there, tools, ornaments, jewelry, all these things were accomplished in that graves. Okay, and we have already studied all the types of megalithic burials. Cyst burial, that is the underground chamber. Dolmen, we have studied vertical and the horizontal stone slab. Menhir, we have studied the vertical monolithic stone slab. Cairn circle, across the grave, you are just putting the stones in a circular alignment, and the urn burial, which is also referred to as the pot burial. Okay, so in this manner, comprehensively, we have covered the megalithic cultures. See, these topics are very short. You do not have to go into the much details of these topics, taking into consideration the nature of questions that have come in the UPSC examination. Okay, so what do you need to know? You need to know the basic aspects from the mains perspective. You need to know what are the different types of the megalithic burials, which are very significant. Second thing, you need to know about the characteristic features. So, characteristics in the sense you need to know the settlement pattern, you need to know about the subsistence, agriculture being the primary occupation, accompanied by animal husbandry and the use of iron tools. And then you need to know about their other economic activities like the craft production, the pottery production, mining, and the metal working. Okay, and finally, their social religious life. So, if there is a question in means state the characteristics of the megalithic communities, this could be a 15 marker question. Okay, or you can say that megalithic communities were the prominent communities that flourished between 1000 BC to 1000 C in South India. State their characteristic features. Okay, or write a note on their economic aspects or on the subsistence aspect. Okay, so in this manner you have to cover all these important characteristic features. Okay, from the preliminary perspective, do remember all these important burials. Do remember the fact the megalithic culture is associated with the Iron Age in Indian subcontinent. Okay, I hope the topic is pretty clear. So, megalithic culture, if we want to conclude, it's a time of stone, it's a time of iron, beliefs. Discover the people who believe, who built, crafted, and left behind enduring legacies. Okay, so indeed, a very significant topic to be studied for the UPSC examination. In the upcoming session, we are going to begin with a very important topic, very interesting indeed, Indus Valley civilization. Okay, and also we will be discussing the PYQs related to megalithic age. Okay, I hope you guys are understanding the lectures and enjoying the series. Okay, thank you so much. That's it for the day. Thank you.